What's going on, Panther Nation? What's going on? What's up, Doug Nation? It's your man, C. Dougie. We are back in the building, man. Great vacation. A lot has happened in between the couple of weeks since we've been gone. Great content across Panther content world, but also from our Carolina Panthers, man. We have a great guest joining us tonight. I ain't gonna give him his nickname. I'm gonna call him. Has two shows. He's changed his name here and there, try to figure out how he wanted to go about it. But I've worked with this gentleman several times behind the scenes. We collab. We both are Tar Heel fans, so we definitely be liking each other's tweets here and there. But definitely shout out to the Tar Heel. Shout out to that baseball team as well, man, with the Super Regionals coming up. So let me go ahead and bring up Carolina Dad from Two Growls One Roar. Go ahead and tell the people what's up, CD.
Well, it's good, man. I got to say, the intro is fantastic. Loved all the edits, new footage, keeping it fresh as always, man.
Yes, sir, man. So how you feeling today before we get into everything? How you feeling, CD?
Feeling good, man. A lot of life stuff happening over on our side, but things are calming down a little bit. Able to record a little bit this week. So we're getting there, man. Taking it day by day.
I feel you on that, man. So yeah, it's been a lot going on. Like you said, life has been lifing. That's the saying that I say. That life has been lifing. Was able to spend time with fiance. Had to go to one of my assistant coaches' wedding this past weekend. Still trying to plan our wedding. Still working, trying to put out content. So trust me, I understand. Life is life. Like it can hit you hard sometimes. So definitely glad to have you on tonight, man. So if you are joining us, you see the title Position Battles Heating Up. With OTAs finally closing out, now is the time to flip the script and almost pay attention to minicamp. Even though we've had shout out to all the media outlets, Carolina Blitz, Joe Person, Mike K, Sheena Quick. Who else am I missing? I can't forget about David Newton. There's all our outlets have been out there once a week for these last couple OTAs, but now with minicamp, if I'm not mistaken, everybody will be able to be there for the entire, minicamp. So we're going to get more updates. So I wanted to go ahead and get ahead of the ball, talk about a couple of position battles that I think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to and want to have included when it comes to minicamp going into training camp. So if you guys know, my co-host over here is Uncle Quan. He's lost a family member this week, so he will not be on the panel. He will be in the chat. Definitely just send prayers up. If you see him in the chat, just definitely send prayer hands his way. Keep him and his family in your prayers. He's lost two family members within the same week. Within a week's time span. So definitely, again, keep my co-host over here, Uncle Quan, in your prayers. Other than that, like I said, life has been lifing. A lot of people have been reaching out about the blueprint. Shout out to the Carolina Panthers for reaching out for the opportunity to be on the blueprint along with other content creators and also other people on Twitter or X. So it was a privilege. I'm just one of many Panther content creators. And again, the honor was theirs to actually look and then reach out. So this is just the beginning for What's Up, Doug, and I'm definitely looking forward to more content coming. Also looking at different avenues to bring content, and also when we do these vlogs, come in here during training camp. So definitely stay tuned for that. So other than that, did you want to go or say anything about the blueprint? Anything else before we get into position battle, CD? You got anything?
Yeah, one prayers up to Quan. I know a few folks in the chat have said that. It's tough. It absolutely is. Blueprint, man, kudos to you. Like, I don't want you to brush this one off, and I'm not saying you are, but dude, that's awesome. Awesome to see you on there and all the other content creators. I think we all know how hard all of us work, and to see a good portion of folks get recognized was cool, man. So I'm happy for you. It's definitely a cool moment to see that on there and have a bunch of guys flash up that we talked to. So it's nice.
Yeah, it was definitely nice, man. And again, I'm gonna call him by his ex name, but Gabi, I know who that is. He said prayers out the Quan. Definitely appreciate you writing that. Also, my other co-host over here, who's been busy with life, is AJ at All Pro Sports Talk. So I definitely appreciate him with prayers up. We also got one of our Panther content creators in here. I know he has a live tonight. Shout out to Lo, man. Stay tuned. We got more details with Lo and myself collabing. So I definitely appreciate you pulling up before your show, Lo. So definitely major love that way, man. So before we get into it, let's go ahead and shout out, as we always do over here, our sponsor, which is SeatGeek. Again, for first-time users, if you do not have an account with SeatGeek, sign up with SeatGeek. Use the code What's Up, Doug. You'll get $20 off your first ticket purchase. Again, if you do have one, have another family member so you can go ahead and get those NFL tickets. Basketball is really at the end now, so it's really just basically baseball, football, and any event ticket that you need. SeatGeek actually shows a diagram for best to worst seating, price comparisons as well. Again, shout out to our sponsor over here, which is SeatGeek. Again, use code What's Up, Doug, to get $20 off your first ticket purchase. So, so before we talk about minicamp, what has been catching your eye with OTA, CD? Meaning, like, what, I mean, you already know the deck, so we are going to get a little bit into it, but just a intro of how you're feeling about the offseason with the footage, with the interviews. How are you feeling about the team? What has stood out to you?
Yeah, it's been good content. To your point, not having the larger media group there does change it a little bit. You know, like to your point, they've been there like one OTA per week. So it's kind of a snapshot. You know, whatever the team puts out is what we consume. I think for me, and I saw some folks today with some of the footage, I think one of the things that still sits in the back of my mind is the cornerback depth behind. I mean, honestly, I know we throw JC Horn, of course, like by himself.
Yeah.
Even Mike Jackson a little bit. And I'm okay with where he is right now, but I will tell you that room and also linebackers for me personally, like I haven't seen a lot, although today I did see like right before this, a video come up of some of the linebackers working through. That one sticks out in my mind. And then I think the rookies, everything we've seen from Tedero McMillan, Xavier, although he's not a rookie, but, you know, second year, I feel like the offense hopefully is going to be a step further or two than they were last year. So I'm excited, man. I don't know that we're really going to know anything until the pads come on, until we get closer to training camp, maybe some preseason to really figure out this team. But at least on paper, up to this point, outside of Tommy Tremble being injured, which does concern me as well.
We're going to talk about that one.
Exactly, man. I think I feel pretty good and compared to years past. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen, man.
So for me, I would say it's good for the interviews. One thing, Dave Canales is very candid. He is going to tell you exactly how he feels. He's going to tell you exactly what it is. And for me, if the defense wins on a day, I'm fine with that, because that means that our defense has improved. Our offense can't have consecutive days of winning throughout practice. And that's where I can't wait for next week, whenever we're able to actually get more live reporting that, hey, who won the day? That's one question I'm going to ask on Twitter. Who won the day? Was it offense? Was it defense? And if defense wins one of those days, I'm fine with that, because, again, I think our offense can be very potent and it can be very explosive with the pieces that we brought in. So, again, you really can't take with a grain of salt, because, like you said, we only get one day. So we really don't know exactly what's going on those other days, because, again, they may be doing more. Also, injuries is important to me. You still got DJ Wanham, who was injured last year. Now he's injured again this offseason. You already talked about Tommy Tremble. I think a fan favorite, Jimmy Horn Jr., he had an issue with hammies at USF and also at Colorado. So there's things that are already tea leaves that need to be addressed before minicamp, but also during that break whenever it's time to head back to Charlotte for training camp. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before, shout out to Earl Locklar. I appreciate you pulling up as well, man. Yes, Nakar, I know it's you. And he said we've all seen Mike Jack get cooked repeatedly, which I understand that as well, man. So Rockhead, he said CD and Dougie
What's
Fresh
good?
combo. Good. What's good, gentlemen? Appreciate you pulling up, man.
Yes.
All right. So you ready to get into it, or you got one more thought?
I'm ready, man. We can make it happen.
All right. So first slide we got is wide receiver battle. I did put a locks on the left-hand side. And if somebody in the chat sees a different lock, definitely go ahead. You know, we're going to interact with the chat tonight. So first, Adam Thielen, obviously, I think is a lock. You got Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, and T-Mac. The question that I'm looking for this wide receiver battle starting next week with minicamp is the vets versus the young pups. Meaning the vets, you have David Moore, Dan Chesney, and Hunter Renfrow. Then you have Jimmy Horn Jr., Kobe Hudson, and is it Jackson George, I think?
Jacoby.
Jacoby George.
Yep.
Jacoby George. So wide receiver battle. How do you feel about that? And I'll pull the slide back up if you need me to. I think, and the question, I forgot the question on there too. How many wide receivers will we carry on this roster? And who's the odd man out? And I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'll go because again, there has been rumblings that have happened now where you can't really miss days or consecutive days because you're gonna go down that totem pole regardless of what you bring to the team. So how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, it's a great point, man. Talking about that earlier today with Randy Slack here in Wilmington. And one, I will say I'm just glad we actually have a legitimate battle here. That there's enough talent to where we're not, no offense, trotting out DJ Chark-esque players. Again, no knock on those guys, but
Yeah,
it's nice. I think I agree with you on the 4 locks right now with Adam Thielen, although some people still want to push him out. Xavier, Coker, and then Tedero McMillan. You bring up a great point as well with days missed. It's something that I've been talking about to where these are valuable days. I know it's just OTAs, it's voluntary, but it's valuable, especially for these younger guys trying to compete and make a spot. When you're not on the field, you're not getting noticed. And again, I know coaches aren't going to necessarily, knock you for it, but it's better to be out there and showing folks what you can do. So it's a good question, man. When you get into the conversation of number of receivers, I think we could see some weird stuff happening, maybe close to what we did last year. And don't quote me on this. I feel like it was 6 or 7. Like we carried an extra so that we could keep Coker.
Correct.
So we carried an extra. I think maybe, and I mean, you got to cut somewhere else. So you start playing the numbers game. I think legitimately when we get into the season, post cuts and this thing plays out, it's 6. So odd man out. I think it is in the mix here personally with David Moore, who I mean, to your point, I just haven't seen anything. I know Canales feels confident in him. They have a relationship. I put him in the mix with Hunter Renfrow and then Jimmy Horn Jr. So out of those 3, do we keep 2? But I also think, there are these undrafted free agents in Kobe Hudson, Jacoby George that also have value, that had nice contracts, kind of similar to what we saw with Coker last year. And so there is potential that maybe one of those guys knocks off one of the veterans. But for me, I don't know. I think right now it probably come down to David Moore. And I know some people may think, Hunter Renfrow. I haven't seen enough to know how good Hunter Renfrow really is in this rehab and getting back to playing since he's healthy. But I think that's my initial thought. I'm just glad we have competition. And I think the back half of who's going to make this really, and some people are bringing up special teams, which is very valid. It's going to be like, where can these guys contribute? Yep. Return, to your point, gunner, like where else can they fit into it? So I'm excited, man. I'm just glad we have a competition in place.
And I agree with that. So the reason why I did the vets versus the pups, when you look at the wide receivers that we brought in, regardless of we drafting Jimmy Horn and T-Mac, they brought in, if I'm not mistaken, 3. And I might not be thinking all of them. I know Hudson and George were the top 2 because they got paid the most money when we brought in undrafted free agents. But again, like you said, look at the battle, because I'm going to start here with Nakari. He said Chesney is going to make it because of special teams. Okay. But then Jimmy Horn, you have as a lock, but he had a hammy injury. Then Dakari also talked about it, where Jimmy still is going to make it because they do love him. And I do think if we do cut Jimmy Horn, we're not going to get him back like we were able to get Jalen Coker last year.
Agreed.
So if we pull back the slide up, if you look at the amount of wide receivers, we already have 4 on the left-hand side with locks. Let's just say we keep 2 more. That makes 6. I do think Jimmy Horn is going to be available and ready for training camp. That's because I think they're holding him out right now. Then that leaves, to me, it leaves David Moore, Chesney, and Hunter Renfrow. Who are you taking out of those? And again, a lot of people are saying Hunter Renfrow is great because he has that third down reliable type of hands. That's what Adam Thielen is. So again, when you look at it, do you really need 2 of the same players in Hunter Renfrow and Adam Thielen? So for me, I think we will try to carry at least 6 or 7. But the battle, we have not had a wide receiver battle like this for years. I don't even think really we've never really had this battle like this. Never. I honestly don't think the Carolina Panthers have ever had this amount of wide receivers where this is one of the attractive position battles where we're like, oh, I have this favorite, I have that favorite, but at the same time, we don't know what they're going to do. So for me, again, I think, let me read the comments because I'm looking at the slide. Right, Jones said, George is my sleeper for practice squad. And I agree with that. I do think George is going to be on a practice squad. And I think that does help because, again, Jalen Coker, that was a issue that he was injured. And we wanted to know, was he going to be able to come back? And he came back. I think he missed the practice and then came back. So we're going to have injuries. We're going to need wide receivers to step up in their place. Then Dakari said Renfrow is redundant. Coker would be Thielen's replacement. Renfrow is a nice story, but he can go elsewhere. I agree, but again, I just want to see him battle. I definitely want to see him battle. Whenever he was with the Las Vegas Raiders before he got hurt, Hunter Renfrow was a decent wide receiver. And again, you don't need him to be the guy. You just need him to be reliable, which he does have reliable hands. Bloody. What did you say? I think Hunter Renfrow making the roster goes against everything Dan has done so far. It's all been about getting younger. So Hunter Renfrow is not that old, though. He looks old, but he's not that old. And that's the problem with Hunter Renfrow. So Renfrow was brought in just for camp purposes, I think. Hey, like I said, we'll see. And I honestly think we'll know a lot again during minicamp next week. We will know a lot because, again, it's 3 days. Media will be out there every single day. So here's my co-host, man. What's going on, Uncle Quan? He said, what's going on, family? Make sure y'all hit that like button and grab a membership. Yes, sir, Quan. Like I said, I already told everybody to send prayers up to you and the family, man. Again, you know, I wish you were up here, but hey, you know how I feel. Family is always first. So we definitely keep you in our prayers and hold you down tonight, man. So definitely enjoy the show. Let's see. We always complain about not having depth, so let's eat while we can. I agree, Rod Jones. I definitely agree. I definitely think we need as much depth as possible. And with us having this much amount of depth, I think that's a good thing because, again, Dan Morgan came out and said he didn't have defensive depth last year, but now you look at some places, and I know we're not going to talk about it because it's an issue that I think we still have people out there that we can sign, but corner is a position that does not have a lot of quality depth. So, again, for me, going back to wide receivers, CD, did you say which ones did you choose? Which ones you wanted from vets or the pups? Let me take
sorry. And I don't know what was going on with the laptop. We had to go get a new charger because
you good. That's why I was reading the chat, man.
I appreciate it, man. We do have a new charger, and so we're good. Things are trending up. So I do think, I mean, just looking at the top list, like if we were to pick 6 out of this, I still personally take Hunter Renfrow. I know there's redundancy in his skill set, but I also think about him being 29 years old. If he really is coming back and is, 75% of the player that he was in his prime, or at least when he was producing, there's a good chance that you have him here for another 2 or 3 years. Like Adam Thielen's in his mid-30s and still producing and has produced the last 3 years. So you do have that mix, but I do get the dynamic of him fitting in. And then I think for the bottom tier right now, would be Jimmy Horn Jr. for me as well. So that would be my 6. Now, I am curious to actually see Hudson and George when we get into training camp and preseason and, seeing how things pan out there.
Yeah. So that's our wide receiver battle. I think that's number one. Main focus is what wide receivers are going to be on this roster. I think some are going to play wide receiver, some are going to be impactful on special teams. So our next one, and I did these before this news came out, and CD can tell you, tight end, unproven talent. JT Sanders and Mitchell Evans, you step up to the plate now with Tommy Tremble being out. The question I have, can Sanders and Evans hold the tight end room down with Tommy Tremble possibly being out in the beginning of the season? And I think that is very important. Let me pull it back up because it came out, I think, was it like 2 days ago? Today's Thursday. So around Tuesday or Wednesday that JT Sanders was out there working with Bryce during the summer and lost weight to be in better playing shape this upcoming year. So that shows me that he's a vet now. He's not a rookie. He's taking it serious, got his body in shape, came back stronger and faster. Mitchell Evans is, I don't know if people realize this, Mitchell Evans was a replacement for Tommy Tremble at Notre Dame when Tommy Tremble left. And now we drafted Mitchell Evans, and now Tommy Tremble is out in the beginning of the season. So I do think it's unproven talent because, again, I think the potential is there for JT Sanders, but I also think JT Sanders has to do a better job at blocking. That's one thing I do need him to do a better job and show that he can do as well. With Mitchell Evans, I like the comparison where I heard during the draft. He's in that tier of body type and play type as Jason Witten. Jason Witten wasn't the fastest, but he was there whenever you needed him to be open in coverage, and he was a reliable target. If we can mix, and Jason Witten was a better blocker before the end of his career. If we can have JT Sanders take that sophomore leap and then have Mitchell Evans be above average where he doesn't hit that rookie wall, I think both of these tight ends can do well. The problem I have with the Panthers with Tommy Tremble is I think we waited, but then I think a lot of people are upset because we say he can hit this ceiling, but he's never hit this ceiling because of injuries. So for me, I think Tommy has to do a better job of taking care of his body. I know injuries you cannot help. Back injuries you cannot help. I had a back injury, still have a back injury. But I think we should have attacked his injury quicker than we did. And we wouldn't be in this predicament that we're in right now. So for me, I think unproven talent is the right title for that tight end room. How do you feel about the tight end room, CD?
I agree with you, man. And yeah, to your point, you brought this up prior to any knowledge of Tommy Tremble not being available. And I'm with some fans, initially when the news came out, it was a little shocking just because it's so late in the offseason program. And I understand, Canales said he was young. They wanted to get it done now. But you do wonder, and I understand it's everyone's own personal health. It's their decision. But it does stink because now, you go out and it is going to be both of these guys that are leading in that room. And you look at the depth. Dominique Daphne, that I personally do not know hardly anything about, is your other tight end in the mix right now. So I think the Panthers are back in this position to possibly pick someone up, whether it's waivers or when these cuts happen. They're going to need a third. It's hard to imagine that they can carry both. To your point, though, I think it is unfortunate for Tommy Tremble, who it's hard to believe that last year was his best receiving year at only 234 yards.
Correct.
And and you have Jatavian Sanders in his rookie year outperforming him. So I think it's good. And honestly, in a similar way to where Jatavian Sanders got a lot of reps last year when Ian Thomas was battling his stuff, you probably have that happening again now with Mitchell Evans. And like you said, he was the replacement at Notre Dame. I think he's he kind of reminds me of a similar model of Tommy Tremble. He is a rookie, so there's a lot to learn. But as far as like a drop off, I don't know if it'll be a lot, but I do worry about the additional depth that's going to be behind those, or lack of depth right now, at least.
Correct. Let me go back to the chat. The car said, Dougie, are you going to the practice in Houston? I want to, but that is Mama Duke's birthday weekend, and I'll be back. And I know CD's going to like this when I say this. I'll be in Jacksonville, North Carolina that weekend, going to visit family. So I'll be back home, bringing the fiance, going to celebrate Mama Duke's birthday, pick her up. We're going back home. So no, I will not be in Houston, but I do know a couple people that are going. So we will have coverage down there. And if I'm able to put highlights and clips, I definitely take care of that for you. Uncle Quan said that JT is going to go crazy this year. I totally agree. And he wrote another comment. I'm not sleeping on it. It's just he took it serious. And we have to understand when you're coming in as a rookie, you don't know what to expect. And again, for him to come in lighter, faster, and look focused, that's a great thing. And then take it serious by going out there to work with Bryce. I do think he's going to take leaps. And now with Tommy Tremble being out, you don't have to rush that because, again, you address the need with Mitchell Evans. But then that has me thinking, is that the reason why we drafted Mitchell Evans? Because they already knew Tommy Tremble had an injury that needed to be addressed, but it wasn't put out publicly. So
that's a good point.
I see the strategy right there with the drafting right there. So I like that as well. Bloody, what'd he say? He said, I'm still surprised they brought Tommy back with his back injury. That's what I'm saying. I agree with that as well. I see you gave up the visor. CD shameful.
He loves the visor.
And then shout out Alex for our first super chat tonight. He said, fire duo right here. Gotta put my little girl to bed, but we'll catch y'all later. Keep pounding. Appreciate you for that super chat right there, Alex. Let me see. Yeah, Quan JT is nice. I hope he takes the next step this year. Again, B. Amos, appreciate you pulling up. He said JT Sanders jersey coming in soon. Nice. Fire. That zero is definitely fire. Hell yeah, love this duo. Shout out Wembley and the land. Yeah. He said, what's going on, man? What's going on? Clay, we got another content creator here. Appreciate you pulling up, Clay. He said the bigger question, why did this drag out so long, Tommy Tremble? So, Clay, I don't know if you heard whenever I was just making a point of that might be the reason why we drafted Mitchell Evans. We will never know right now. But if you look at it, was tight end a dire need on this offense? No, not really. But if you think about it, we addressed the need that we needed to attack because of a possible injury that they didn't want to release to the public. Now, having a three-headed monster, I do like that because if you look whenever Nick Canals was at Tampa, he had a three-headed monster in that tight end room. So I'm not opposed of it, but CD made a good point, and I can't think of the young man's name that can be the third tight end. And I know a lot of people might leave if I say this. I might would have liked Ian Thomas being back with this news right now. And I know Quan is like, I know Doug did not just say this, but I'm being so honest because behind Mitchell and Sanders, what proven tight end do you have right now? You don't have anybody. I think, hold on. I think we got Sullivan still. I think we do. I'm going on the roster real quick. Let me see. He said, I got to put the tape on. And I know what jersey's talking about. No, you don't. We're going to make sure you be able to trade that in. We're going to make sure you be able to trade that jersey in, man. What's going on, Bleezo fam? He said, I get it, Dougie. If you knew his back was fucked up, why drag it out so long? And why not sooner? I agree with that, too.
Yep.
Dougie Bricks. Hey, I already knew y'all were going to say that, though. But I'm being serious, though. Like, what other tight end do we have? What other tight end do we have right now?
Tried to bring in the basketball player from Coastal.
No,
right?
I'm good. Exactly. All right, so tight ends we have Dominique Daphne, who you said Mitchell Evans, James Mitchell, and Bryce Pierce. Like,
welcome to the show. Bryce doesn't even have a picture on his.
Yeah, like
on Panthers.com.
I don't know. And then Bloody just said he asked the same question you just asked, CD. What about the backup player before you bring in Ian Thomas back? Ian Thomas can't come back. That was literally a joke. That was a joke. I know Ian Thomas. I know how I feel about it. I mean, it was a project. He never panned out. Salute to him. He's at the Raiders. Go have a great career. But honestly, one thing that we did say that we have addressed is depth. But the problem I have now is there are certain positions on this roster that do not have quality depth. And Lord forbid we lose anybody in that tight end 1 or 2 position. Again, with the title of unproven talent, that can be a damper to Dave Canales' offense. But like Juan said, I definitely do think JT Sanders will step up to the plate. It already looks like he has. If you guys have not headed over to Twitter, the Panthers showed that I think Bryce threw a beautiful dime in the rain today to JT Sanders for a touchdown. So I'm already liking that connection right there. It's not the Cali connection that T-Mac and Bryce talk about, but it's a great connection that I think can do great things for this team. Next, all right, we can go ahead and get into a conversation I know a lot of people laugh at because I always talk about it every live almost. D-line depth. Some of these names people don't even know who they're like, who is what? Yep. Yes, you got Shaw Tuttle, number 1. You got LeBron Ray, Jaden Crumedy, and Sam Roberts. The locks that I have for our D-line already is Derek Brown, Ashawn Robinson, Bobby Brown, Trayshawn Wharton, and Cam Jackson. Out of these, I think only one person is going to make it. Out of these 4 gentlemen, only one person is going to make it. And again, when you look at what we were able to do in free agency, I was looking at a tape and a clip earlier today, and I was looking at the reps. And Shaw did not look as physical as the other. And I know people are saying I'm picking. Let me put it down. I'm not picking on Shaw. I just think for this scheme, again, Shaw is not the right nose tackle, 3-tech, 4-tech, whatever you want to say, for this defense. He's a rotational piece. But then when you bring in a Bobby Brown, you bring in a Trayshawn Wharton, you go get a Cam Jackson, who's a different body type than anybody on that D-line. Like, my guy, like, how are you going to fit in? You can't fit in. Where are you going to – I mean, you can't force yourself in that room right now. So, again, that's why I think between these 4 gentlemen, only one's going to make it. And who that one person is, I think it's going to be Jaden Crumedy. I actually heard his name being said doing a presser. I know Shai Tuttle is the veteran out of those 4, but I did like Crumedy coming out of Mississippi State last year. Had a great showing before he turned his ankle during the preseason. Then had to go on the IR. So for me, I think out of those 4, I would go with Jaden Crumedy.
I like that. I'm with you too. I think, Shai Tuttle, you would look at Cam Jackson taking over as the rotation at the nose tackle position. So that, I mean, I don't know that we want to carry 3 and the Shai Tuttle. That kills me, man.
Hey, I've been calling him that, man. I've been calling him
kills me. That one kills me. I think if I were to put it in a competition, I know LeBron Ray hasn't been the greatest, but I think he may have a shot. But I think what you just said with Crumedy, coaches may or may not be subtle. When they start dropping names, it's at least telling you what's happening in the building, their thought process. And they're all humans. Like, they could intentionally go up there and not want to mention players on purpose. They try not to, but then they're going to slip. Guys that are standing out are going to be noticed. And I think for Crumedy, to your point, like if he didn't have that injury, and I know he's a later round pick from last year, probably has a better chance of playing considering everything that the defense went through. So I like him from a perspective. If the Panthers want to go with a model of developing the talent that they have, he's young, so you check that box as well. So yeah, I think I'm with you on this one. I know Shai Tuttle took a pay cut. That's, great, but it feels like to me I would, at least right now, put it between LeBron Ray and Jaden Crumedy if we were, picking one out of this. And I would lean with Crumedy the way you did.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I hate it because I'm not bashing, but it's just reality. Chateau's already undersized, and then he's underweight. If you look at the weight that we've brought in, the mass that we've brought in, he doesn't even match up to those guys. He's a change. If we talk about change of pace backs, he's a change of pace D tackle. So that's the thing of it. And then LeBron Ray, hey, he came in on the back end and we cut him, brought him back. I think he was brought in for a camp body. Sam Roberts, another camp body. So for me, again, I think it's Jaden Crumley's job to lose. And it's a good job to lose because again, look at these names again. Derrick Brown, stud. We got our captain back in the middle. A'Shawn Robinson stepped up without his counterpart in Derrick Brown. Then you bring in a Bobby Brown II, Trayshawn Wharton, and Cam Jackson. That's already, if I'm not mistaken, 5 out of right here. Then if we're talking about bringing 6 or 7 wide receivers, you're pulling away from your defense. And I know a lot of people do not want that, where you're pulling away from their defense, but at the same time, you have to address stopping the run. And every person that we brought in has a great run stoppage grade, either in college or in their former teams. So again, I think the run will be stopped, but if there was a added body that needed to be from any chance you, it would be Jaden Crumedy. So let me see. I
like the fact that this is basically, it's hard to call it a new defensive line, but when you think about Derrick Brown being out last year, Derrick Brown, Bobby Brown, Tershawn Wharton, man, that middle, and then you have A'Shawn Robinson in the rotation. You draft Cam Jackson, and then go ahead and throw Crumedy in there. I mean, much improved from what we had to go through last year.
Correct. Definitely correct. Mm-hmm. And then let me read a couple of comments. Bit Tight, what's going on, man? Appreciate you for pulling up. And we got our second super chat of the night. Uncle Red Swarm, definitely appreciate you pulling up. He said, yo, what's good, nephew and CD? Everyone in the chat, sorry I'm late. Never late, man. You just right on time, man. We definitely already talked about our wide receiver battle. We can't wait to look forward to next week. And now we talked about our tight ends with Tommy Trimble being down. And now you came in on us talking about having great depth on the D line, but then also looking at who can possibly fit in at that last position. So definitely appreciate the super chat. Bloody, he said, I think our run defense is going to be good enough, so it's going to expose how
right,
how bad our secondary is. And it's crazy how they don't know the slides, and that's the very next slide we're going to go to. So, Lord. All right, let's go ahead. Earl, like I said, what's going on, my homie? I guess he's talking to Red Swarm. He said, Uncle Quan, hey, family and my wife are lifting up. That's again, shout out to my guy, Uncle Quan. Again, keep him in your prayers. You guys have not sent prayer hands to him in his way, man. Definitely keep his family in his prayers. He's lost 2 family members within a week span time, so definitely lift him up in your prayers, man. And like I said, we're going to definitely hold you down tonight, fam, so you already know how we rock him. My brother, D. Allen, what's going on, man? Appreciate you pulling up as well tonight. Let me see. Rock Jones said, the defense is as bad as last year. Was then blow it up and move to the 4-3. Okay. You want to talk about it? Because Rock Jones, this is the thing for me with that. We can blow it up, but our head coach says as long as he's the head coach of Carolina Panthers, he's running the 3-4 defense. And if you look at it, he came from a 3-4 defense with Todd Bowles. I don't know what type of defense that was ran when he was in Seattle, but he's in love with the 3-4. I think if it does not work, there's a coach on this team, AC Carter or Cooley, that will be your new defensive coordinators. So for me, I don't say just blow it up because, again, you're bringing in players now that fit a 3-4, not just Evero's scheme. They fit a 3-4 scheme. So you don't just blow that up because now you have to go back. If you look at it, when we did a whole all defensive draft, most of those players were for a 4-3 or a multiple defense. Now you can't bring those type of players back in because now that's a new rebuild step where you already have people here that can actually play a 3-4, and then you're switching to another scheme. So I don't agree with going back to a 4-3, but I think you have to go to a different coordinator that can do something with a 3-4. So how you feel about that, CD?
I'm with you, man. I do think personnel-wise, at least to your point, like what's been brought in, seems like that it would stay the way it is right now. And then, yeah, at that point, you're talking about the man up top who's calling it and running the defense. And, yeah, I think there's going to be I know it's not in the slide, but I think there's a lot of pressure on Evero to perform this year. No doubt about it.
It definitely is. And again, I appreciate everybody that's pulling up. Again, we have CD from 2 Growls One Roar. If you would like to see his channel, it's in the details. It's highlighted in blue. Definitely go over here and show him love. Definitely let him know that you saw him on What's Up, Doug. And I definitely appreciate all the support that we have tonight. And also make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you are new over here as well. So let's go ahead and go into it. And we can go onto the other side of that with this position group as well, CD, and that is the safety battle. The only start that we have right now is Trayvon Moore. Obviously having the least amount of depth on the roster, who would be opposite of Moore? You had Nick Scott, you had Ransom, and you had Damani Richardson. For me, I'm gonna take myself down. I do not dislike Mike Jack, but shout out to Carolina's armchair GM, which is CJ. CJ always would mess with me and say Mike Jack needs a safety over the top. I think we have the right safeties. I love Lathan Ransom, Damani Richardson. I think Nick Scott is a special teamer. He's not supposed to be there for starting purposes. But when you look at it, I think Damani Richardson was not bad. He took advantage of the opportunity by the horns and did exactly what he was supposed to do. I think this is a true battle. I really think this is a true battle, and I'm gonna pull it up. It's really between Ransom and Damani Richardson, and I think a lot of people are saying Lathan Ransom is the same thing as Trayvon Moore. But if you look at it, you were able to see exactly he can play free and strong. And I'm glad the Panthers pay attention. As we know, they are watching. So we know they are watching. And they saw on Twitter that a lot of people are saying we drafted a player that's already on this roster. And they showed his numbers. The good thing about Ransom is he had the highest run stoppage grade out of all positions in college last year. And to me, that means a good thing. But does that mean that Trayvon Merritt can go back to free safety, which he played when he first came out of TCU? People forget he was a free safety when he first came out of TCU, and then he moved to strong because they had injuries. He excelled more at strong safety, but he can play both. I know there's a young man out there that's still a free agent. I'm hoping we do sign in between time either minicamp or training camp that we can bring in another safety. But I think the safety battle is another battle that we have to pay attention to. And I think it goes along with the corner position, which we did not do a slide, but we will talk about the safety position first, and then we'll go into the corner position. So how you feel about that, CD?
Yeah, man. I think you summarized that well. I agree with you that it is with who we have today, it's between Lathan Ransom, Damani Richardson. I am tipping my cap a little bit more into the direction of Damani Richardson. It's early. It's hard to know until we see pads, until we see preseason, like we said, with training camp. I think Damani Richardson showed flashes last year, especially later in the season as he got more playing time. They started to trust him. He came in as an undrafted free agent. So I think that is the solution right now. I am excited to see Lathan Ransom in the mix as well. To your point, is there potential to mix to have him back there as a free safety or move Trayvon around a little bit. That's always an option. I do think Nick Scott, to your point, who we're not really talking about, I think he is your special teams guy. To me, and I know I tweeted when this happened to Mike K that like this felt like just I guess we're going to go pick someone up to add depth. He seemed to say, well, they like him for his special teams, which is fine. But I do think like you go back and watch some of his tape and seeing him lose snap counts, not getting out on the field, I do think it's between those two. And I agree with you as well that we're going to keep saying the name Julian Blackmon. I'm not as big on Marcus Williams, but he's also there. It feels like we just need one more veteran potentially in there. But Panthers may be sold and they may have their guy and they may feel like between Richardson and Ransom that they can get it done. But it's hard to imagine like last year, there was a lot of depth here, like Lonnie Johnson, Xavier Woods. You think about Fuller, Jordan Fuller, like there was a lot of guys. Sam Franklin, they carried about like 5 safeties. And so to only have 4 and then have 2 of them being relatively young and then Nick Scott, it's a bit concerning. And to your point, help over the top from Mike Jackson is definitely a need. I agree with that.
All right, so here, Pickle just said something that is very interesting. I don't think Nick Scott is going to make the roster. That's going to be hard for me. And I did not put the rookies. We have a couple of rookies out there that I think can be impactful. They're going to have to play great on their reps, and they're going to have to excel at special teams. That's the only way Nick Scott gets beat out on this roster. And I was shocked when we signed him because I thought we were supposed to clean that whole room all together. What's supposed to be, oh, you're bringing somebody back. They said they wanted to clear house from the jump in mid-season, almost close to the last 4 of the games that, hey, we don't need the same people here. So for me, I think I like that Pickle. I definitely like that Pickle. I definitely think I never thought about that because again, he's supposedly the special teams ace.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want us to do is get younger, and I think we are getting younger. But I'm gonna pay close attention to that. I'm gonna pay close attention to that. So everybody's talking about corners. We did not put corners on there because we already have 2 people penciled in. But CD, let's go ahead and talk about it. Nakari already talked about it in the very beginning. Hold on real quick. Shout out to Donna B. We call her Auntie, Uncle Quan, and myself call her Auntie. Definitely appreciate you pulling up Donna B. The other thing that I think needs to be addressed, on every highlight, it seems like Mike Jack is getting beat. And I seen it on Twitter today, and I was like, okay. We're not in pads. They're not allowed to actually produce actual pressure on the quarterback. But shout out to Panthers on Tap. We talked about confidence level in the room. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we were right at a 70, maybe in 65 or 70. Right now, I think Bartholomew is his name. And I know that's a corner that got drugged by Mike Evans and Drake London the last 2 games. But I'm worried, but I'm not as worried as other fans about our corners. Lord forbid, if this man behind me, one of my favorite Panthers, gets hurt, then all hell's going to break loose.
It will, yes.
And for me, I think Jalen Ramsey, I know everybody wants that. I've seen a couple of beat writers said that's a long shot. I do think we need to bring another veteran in. Cha Smith-Wade, I'm loving what I'm hearing. It's development. And I think it was Clay. Let me see if I can scroll back up. Clay made a good point. It's all about Evero's developing these young defensive rookies and getting new free agents acclimated in complex defensive schemes, using the pieces you have correctly. And no, they're not rookies, but I think it's the development not only from Evero, but also Cooley being our pass game coordinator. And if I think he's the corners coach. So for me, I think corner is an issue, but I'm not like pushing the panic button right now because I do think JC Horn took a exception to that disrespect where he's ranked at corners right now. Again, if you really look at it, JC Horn had a healthy year last year, other than 2 games. Other than that, he really played a full season. So for me, I'm worried about it, but it's not hitting the panic button right now, CD.
Not panicked. I'll hit the panic button. I'll hit it for you now.
Okay.
Not really. I'm in between. I do worry, and it's not even injury related. It's just like beyond Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn, and Shaw Smith Wade. I just look at some of the clips and I watch these guys, and I'm going to be hypocritical because some days I say we can't overanalyze these clips that we get from on air or through drills, but then you watch it and you're like, okay, maybe we can, because you see the difference in a player like Horn versus the other guys, but Horn's on another level. It is a little worrisome. To your point, like just looking at what we have with Shamar Bartholomew, Caleb Evans, and then honestly we get into MJ Devonshire, Corey Thornton, Travis Broughton, and maybe those guys are okay, but a little concerned. But again, it's one of those where I don't think we could do everything, and a lot of it is going to lie on Evero, to Clay's point, and figuring out how to work with what you got. I still would be in favor of, and I know the market's not great, but if there is someone that could fit into the mold that you could bring in for depth, I'd be a fan of it. So that's where I sit.
The Uncle Quan said, I hit the panic button a while ago, man. Horn nice, but that's literally all we got. He hasn't played a full season, so I'm nervous. He goes down, all hell breaks loose. And that's what I said. But for me, like I said, it's more of, to me, I really feel like he did kind of sort of play a full season. Again, if you take away those 2 games, I mean, he played a full season. I think the concern is Mike Jack. But again, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, because I know people like Doug, you already said this. I believe in Dan Morgan, and they better not use this point, because they already used. I said Dan Morgan's cooking. I believe in Dan Morgan. Everybody was saying that Dan Morgan was Scott Fitterer 2.0. I said he's a different guy. He did not have the last say, so he was just in the room, and he definitely was on conversations, but he did not say, "Oh, we're going this way." If he had that, and we actually seen it and heard it, then I would feel different about Dan Morgan. But I believe Dan Morgan knows exactly how this defense needs to be built. And in his last presser, again, he said, I did not do a great job of giving Evero quality depth and actually giving him the pieces that he needs on this defense. That does not mean that we're done yet. And I honestly think that they can still bring in somebody. Who that person is, I think I wrote a tweet, was it right before OTAs, and I said I have 2 signings I think that's going to happen. It's going to be a linebacker and another corner. So let's see exactly who that's going to be. But I do think there's one more signing in this room that needs to be addressed, and I think it will be addressed. We got a couple more people coming in with comments. Supernova, more appreciate you pulling up, man. Mr. Honky Door, he said panic going, Horn. Yeah. Bitwall, I think they probably will wait on preseason to make more moves and see what these young DBs can do. Okay. Monet, what's going on, my guy? He said, I've been saying next offseason Dan is going to address the secondary. Well, I mean, he can do that, but I need him to address it now. Him to address it now. We can't wait because, but okay, so I will say this. When we went to the Super Bowl in 2015, where would you grade our secondary? Because I'm getting to a point with this, because our front 7 was legit.
Yeah, front. That is a good point.
And one thing that I've always said is you went in the trenches and your back 4 helps your front 4, and your front 7 helps your back 4, vice versa. And if you look at it again, where we talked about, no, that's tight ends. We've talked about any chance, the depth already there at the defensive line is there. If they can produce pressure, Josh Norman had a phenomenal year because we had a great front four and actually had one of the best all-pro corner years because of the pressure that was provided. Does not take away when he had to do it by himself. But again, what Dan Morgan wants to do was attack both offenses and defensive lines. He did it, but I do agree. I think you cannot rely on pressure because if pressure can't get there and your corners gets beat, what's going to happen? It's over the top, and that's 6. But another factor that goes into the DBs is communication. And I said this before. There was a lot of miscommunication with Xavier Woods. What's the boy out of or what's the man boy, whatever you want to call him? Jordan Fuller.
Yep.
Then you have Mike Jack that had confusion. JC Horn and Bartholomew. So for me, I think it is very important that this defense comes together quicker. And it is a couple more new pieces, but I honestly think it's going to work out because, again, I think the front four is going to do their job, but I just need the DBs to be above par, above average. You don't have to be elite. If you're above average at that average point, I think our DBs are going to be fine, both safety and corner.
Yep.
Let me see. In OTAs, there is no pass rush. Remember, a few years ago. Thank you, Pickle. That's where I'm getting that.
DJ Shark.
That's where I'm getting that, Pickle.
Yep.
I agree with you. With the secondary needs to work, like Uncle Quan said. If JC goes down, it really nobody's. And this is a big year for Mike Jack to see if he's really CB2 material. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
In 2015, we only had. Thank you, Pickle. That's where I'm getting at. And then Peanut Tillman was at the back end of his career.
Yep.
And he was the elder statesman in that room. So again, I think we're gonna be fine. We just have to wait. It's a wait and see, but it's almost like a question mark with a pencil, like, hey, we might need to bring in another person. All right. Let's go to special teams newcomers. The question that I have on hand is, after losing both our punter and kicker, and with the influx of speed on the roster currently, can this be the year our special teams finally takes off? And I think punt returner, kick returner is going to be, I really hate we're not going to be able to be there because I think that's going to be an electric period during training camp.
Yep.
Because the names, let me pull up the names. I apologize for that. I had Raheem Blackshear, Trevor Etienne, Jimmy Horn Jr., and David Moore. Kicker, I think there is a competition where you got Ryan Fitzgerald and Matthew Wright. Punter is already set. But I think special teams is important. And when is the last time we've actually had great special teams on all 3 phases? And again, I was thinking about this right before we went live. And I think that was when we had Philly and Demir Bird. We really have not had a punt return or kick return in a long time. I remember Blackshear almost broke it against the Houston Texans, 2 years ago? But for me, special teams is very important. We no longer have what's the freaking boy's name? What's the kicker?
Eddie Pinheiro.
Thank you. Eddie P. We no longer have Eddie P. So again, I think special teams is very important because that can definitely help us changing field position. We missed plenty of kicks. We know kicks that we missed that we could have had wins. But I think the punt and kickoff return is going to be electric this year, and I can't wait to see that.
I agree, man. I'm excited for it. I think even in this mix with Raheem Blackshear and Etienne, you potentially are talking about a battle for the 3rd spot on the roster in the running back room. Again, we get into these conversations like how many players are they going to keep? And I like Raheem Blackshear as a returner, but I also think the Panthers showed what they thought of him as a running back when you look at the end of last year and Chuba Hubbard's out for a little bit, Miles Sanders is out, and you don't really have him in the rotation as much. So I'm excited to see that one play out. And then, of course, with Jimmy Horn Jr., just based off of his speed and explosiveness, what he can do, and then potentially maybe one or two of these undrafted guys that we've seen at the wide receiver position possibly getting in the mix. But yeah, when I think about special teams too, it feels like during last year's games that our special teams unit was just stupid at times. And I mean, I don't know if it's just not an understanding of some things, or it's the fact that you're pulling up practice squad guys that are having to go out there and take on snaps. But it felt like at least once every 2 or 3 games, they were just not coached well enough, whether it was with a contain or alignment and just understanding the situation. So I'm hoping year 2 with Tracy Smith, hopefully he's not having to pull practice squad guys just across the unit itself, that we see, increased production. And then to your point, of course, in the return game as well. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and Bitwalt asked a question about, is there any update on Fitzpatrick? I saw where he struggled in camp. I only saw that one day. But again, with minicamp happening next week, I think you'll get all the updates you need to get. I know people will be recording. They know exactly what the Panthers are looking at, or Panther fans, content creators were looking at. That's the reason why I want to get ahead of it, because I know everybody's going to be talking about it. I just want to give a quick preview. And I know special teams is important because, again, we have not had 3 units excel that can help the Panthers for years. Again, kicking, punting, and return game. I would love for the bank to be rocking with a punt return or a kick return. We haven't had that in years. And again, we needed Blackshear, and I think somebody wrote the comment that Bloody said, I don't think Blackshear makes the roster. Again, Quan and myself were at that Houston game, and I remember seeing where I thought he was going to take it to the crib, because if it was not for his return game, that game could have went the other way in Houston's favor. So for me, I think special teams is very important. Jimmy Horn being hurt right now is a bummer, because again, I think he's a favorite not only for the return game, but also for gadget plays and being that over the top wide receiver. Another name that I'm going to say is Ted Ginn Jr. We have not had a speedster on this team since Ted Ginn that can take a offense over the top and take the top off the offense. So for me, I really think special teams is going to be very important. It's going to be valuable to this team, not just from a kicking and punting standpoint, but also, again, the return game. So, again, to recap, we talked about 5 different positions and position battles, which is the wide receiver battle, the tight end battle with unproven talent. Any chance these 4 gentlemen have opportunity to make the team? Shot Turtle, LeBron Ray, Jaden Cromedy, and Sam Roberts. The safety position, along with the corner position, is there a need to add a corner? Who will be the opposite safety of Trayvon Merritt? And his special teams that we just closed out with. I think, again, I cannot wait till minicamp next week. I know everybody's going to be on their phone from left to right, looking at updates, paying attention to injuries, listening to what Dave Canales has to say. I'm going to say this. If Bryce throws picks next week, I'm not going to be upset, because that means the defense is doing something right. I'm saying this right now. People are going to bash him left and right if he throws a pick. Now, if he throws 5 picks in a practice, then we have an issue, people. But if he throws 1 pick or maybe 2 and it's a tip pass, I'm not going to be upset about that, because I need this defense to be at least top 15. Has to be top 15 for us to achieve the goals of winning the NFC South. So, CD, you got anything else, last words, or are you going to say anything else about minicamp next week, man?
No, man, you've done a great job. Appreciate you putting all this together. Appreciate you letting me come on, finally getting to collab. It's been a while since I've collaborated with anyone, just kind of staying head down, dealing with a bunch of stuff. So it's great, man. Appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to it. Then we're going to have 45-ish days of a break before training camp. So yep, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, like I said, most of the time we go at least 1 hour and 30. I know the NBA Finals about to come on, and then CD said, hey, Doug, I got 1 hour. I was not going to keep him longer than 1 hour and a half. I definitely wanted to get this out there. We will be live next week. Stay tuned. Make sure you have your post notification bell on. We do have a different schedule next week before I go out of town. After next week, we will not be live again till July. June is my birthday month, going out of town to celebrate the birthday. So again, as we always tell here, what's up, Doug? Definitely go support all Panther content creators. They all have different personalities, different perspectives, different analysis. We all support the same team. As you can tell, the Panthers have an influx with the content creators. They want to have that mesh relationship with us. Again, I appreciate the Panthers shouting me out along with the other content creators and Twitter users on the Blueprint. Again, I think this is going to be a great season. I love the enthusiasm through the fan base. I think our time is coming. But again, next week, stay tuned. We will have details with that. We will have another guest on next week. And again, to close out, please keep my my co-host Uncle Quan in your prayers, man. And again, I appreciate CD for pulling up with us to talk about Minicamp. So it's your man C Dougie here. Again, if you are not subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel. Definitely follow us on X as well. Grab a membership. They only are 99 cents. We will be giving away tickets this year because we are PSL owners over here at What's Up, Doug. We'll also be doing a giveaway here in July once I come back from military duty. So again, I appreciate everybody for pulling up tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, keep pounding. Peace.